Tishomingo, Representative Carpenter, will introduce our guest minister today who will lead us in prayer. Then please remain standing for the pledge. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the privilege today of introducing a pastor from Iuka, Mississippi, been a friend of mine forever and ever, Brother William Lambert. He is accompanied by his wife, Miss Leslie, today of 38 years. They've been married. He pastors the Iuka United Pentecostal Church, a good friend of mine. Please make him feel welcome.
Shall we join in prayer? Wonderful Savior, what a privilege to gather together today. What a privilege it is to call on a name that has all power. What a privilege it is to know and to have access to a throne room who's in all control of all things. Today we're blessed, abundantly blessed, way beyond our deserving to even call on you, Lord. I pray, God, for these wonderful men and women who are assembled in this chamber today. Ask you, God, to order their steps. Ask you, God, I ask you to guide them in your will and way. I ask you for your protection. I ask you for your direction. Oh, God, in this hour that we're at now, we sure do need you. I pray, God, for their protection as they travel to and fro. Keep them and guide them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Please join me for the pledge. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There's a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
We will have the reading of the journal. The gentleman from Rankin, Representative Powell, moves we dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committees.
We have reports on the calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of bills and constitutional amendments. The gentleman from Marion, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the introductions.
Is there objection to this? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, we will follow that procedure. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other papers.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of guests and visitors. Lady from Forest, Ms. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to welcome in the South Gallery my friend and the Forest County Tax Collector, Zach Howell. Would y'all please help me make him welcome?
Gentleman from Montgomery, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Her tax collector and assessor is not the only one in the South Gallery. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would help me make welcome Miss Tammy Inman, Carroll County Tax Assessor Collector. Thank you.
Gentleman from Copiah, Mr. Holloway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, would you turn your attention to the North and South Galleries where we have, as you see on your desk, Head Start, the Mississippi State University Extension Head Start Early Head Start programs. Today we have, in both galleries, we have participants from Bolivar County Community Action Agency in Cleveland, Mississippi, Pearl River Valley Opportunity Singing River Educational Association, 5 County Head State Friends of Children of Mississippi, Moore Community House, Mississippi State University, Washington County Opportunity, and also we have 2 state directors here, Ms. Tanya Beach from Loosedale, Jamila Taylor from Starkville, and a host of parents and students. If y'all would please stand at this time, give them a round of applause.
Welcome to you all. Gentleman from Newton, Mr. Rushing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Representatives Horn, Smith, Calvert, myself in the South Gallery, please help me welcome Newton County Tax Assessor Collector, Mr. Ben Kelly.
Gentleman from Leet, Mr. Holloway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On your behalf, Representative Rushing and Representative Bounds, we have Lee County Tax Assessor here, Lucas Brown. Y'all make him welcome.
Welcome, gentlemen. Gentleman from Jones, Mr. Scoggin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Representative Scott, Representative Blackwell, I'd like to introduce our Doctor of the Day, Dr. Mark Horn, who is an internal medicine physician with South Central Regional Medical Center. He is the Chief Medical Officer there, and we'd like to welcome him as the Doctor of the Day.
Gentleman from Oktibbeha, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Introduction.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Yes, I do appreciate the representative from Capaya introducing the various Head Start programs, but I want to take a special acknowledgement today. There are two people in the gallery, in the North Gallery, from Mississippi State University Extension Head Start program that covers Oktibbeha County and Harrison County. One of them I've been married to for 25 years today, Ms. Jamila Taylor. Please stand. And also, Ms. Rosalind Reed. Ms. Rosalind Reed is also the Associate Director. Ms. Rosalind, welcome to your capital.
Gentleman from DeSoto, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, please make welcome our esteemed DeSoto County Tax Collector, Joey Treadway, our DeSoto County Tax Assessor, Jeff Fitch, and then my also good friend from Congressman Trent Kelly's office, Darren Herring.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was trying to beat the lady from Humphreys to my mic, and it looked like I did. But I want to welcome the tax assessor for Yazoo County, my beautiful cousin, Ms. Denise Robertson, to the House.
Gentleman from Choctaw, Mr. Hood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, in the South Gallery is my tax collector from Choctaw County, Ms. Lori Kerr, and Deputy Choctaw County Tax Collector, Ms. Layla Henson. Please help them make welcome.
Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard the gentleman from over there, Representative Holloway, earlier announced these distinguished people from Bolivar County, but I must say that I better stand up and say this again. So if all the Bolivar County Head Start today, the county, the central office, and everyone, would you please stand and we help make you welcome? And Mr. Speaker, I must say this because I want to be able to go home, so if y'all allow me this time. I see my lovely wife in the midst up there, and I wanted to run out my seat, but I said, well, I'll wait till I get home. So, so if you all will help me make welcome of 38 years, my lovely wife, Miss Tracy Sanders.
Welcome, lady. Gentleman from Jackson, Mr. Zuber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my distinguished members and colleagues of the Mississippi House of Representatives. Please help me make welcome in the North Gallery in the front row, Mr. Mick Bullock, Director of Public Affairs for NCSL.
Welcome, gentlemen. Good to have you here. Gentleman from Prentice, Mr. Arnold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Introduction.
You're recognized.
On behalf of Representative Turner and myself, I'd like to ask the House to join us in welcoming the tax assessor from Prentiss County, Bob Maddox.
Gentleman from Rankin, Mr. Yancey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Rankin County delegation, please help me welcome our tax assessor, Stacy McNitch, and our tax collector, Caroline Gilbert.
Lady from Lincoln, Miss Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, please help me make welcome our tax collector from Lincoln County, Home Seekers Paradise, Blake Pickering.
Lady from Pontotoc, Miss Waldo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't want to leave out Pontotoc County Tax Assessor Collector, Mr. Van McWhirter. He's also the president of the Mississippi Assessor and Collector Association, so please help me make him feel welcome.
Lady from DeSoto, Miss Remack.
Can you hear me, Mr. Speaker? Ladies and gentlemen of the House, today is Disability Awareness Day at the Capitol, and my friends, the Coalition of Citizens with Disabilities, and several other disability organizations, along with individuals with disabilities and their families. Pam Dollar serves as the Executive Director for the Coalition of Citizens with Disabilities from Simpson County, and she's in our South Gallery. Can you wave to us, Pam? Thank you for coming today. Welcome.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, we have our friends from the Council of State Governments, South Director Lindsey Gray, Ann Brody, Roxanne Woodbury, Kaylee Stretch, and Yolanda Donaldson. Please help make them feel welcome.
Welcome. Thank y'all for being here. Gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over in the South Gallery, friends, would you join me in welcoming Ms. Denise Robertson, who is the Yazoo County Tax Assessor. She's joining us today. How you doing, Denise?
Gentleman from Jackson, Mr. Fondren.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Jackson County delegation, I want to welcome Tax Assessor Nick Elmore and Tax Collector Kevin Miller. Help them feel welcome.
All right, I don't see any further introductions. I believe our head page, Ben Adams, is going to introduce our pages for the week.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good afternoon, members. This week we have 11 pages. They are Arian Adams from Terry, Marquel Blaze from Bay St. Louis. We have Asia O'Reilly from Diamond Head, Marcus Stafford from Jackson, Travis Torrey from Jackson, Trevor Torrey from Jackson. We have Christopher Buford from Fayette, Hardy McCardle from Hazelhurst, Hudson Hollingsworth from Brandon, Harris Oakley from Morton, and Rebecca Oakley from Morton. Thank you.
Lady from DeSoto, Miss McCrae.
Introduction out of order.
You're recognized.
I would like to welcome my friend, my constituent here to the Capitol, Mrs. Kirby Carter, and her son. Make them welcome.
Gentleman from George, Mr. Lott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Introduction out of order. I just spotted in the South Gallery, we have Mr. Charles William, our tax collector from Stone County.
All right, I don't see any further introductions. We will go to the calendar. We have one item on the motion to reconsider calendar. We will go to the appropriations calendar. I believe the chairman of appropriations has some items he wishes to take up. Gentleman from Jackson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies in the House, let's go to today's count under appropriations and bring up item number 1 and make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
I'd like to recognize the gentlelady from Mitt to explain the bill.
Lady from the Mitt is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 504 is the Rural Fire Truck Acquisition Assistance Program. We're authorizing an additional round for counties. Right now there are 15 rounds. We're increasing that to 16 rounds. So for rounds 1 through 6, each county would get $50,000 per truck. Rounds 7 through 11, $70,000 per truck, and rounds 12 through 16, $90,000 per truck. The total amount each county can get is $1.1 million. As you know, this is all special funds appropriated through the annual fire fund. And that's an explanation of House Bill 504, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, lady.
I move final passage.
Lady moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay.
Yes, sir.
Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 121 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go to item number 2, House Bill 1037. Call it up and make the usual motion.
Lady calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, lady.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the committee substitute for consideration in lieu of the original bill.
Lady moves for adoption of the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, lady, to explain the committee sub.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is a bill that was requested by peer, and we actually passed it last year to help state agencies kind of delineate what the process should be when they need an additional supplemental appropriation or when they have a deficit. So what we're saying in House Bill, the committee sub for 1037, is that this act is going to be known as the Deficit Appropriation Prevention Act. If a state agency needs a deficit or a supplemental appropriation, they're going to use a standardized form that's going to be created by LBO and DFA. And then the agency has to submit that form to within 15 days that they make a determination that they have a deficit or that they need a supplemental appropriation. This bill is actually going to put the onus on the state agency to show the legislature, LBO, and our appropriation chairman that there actually is a need for a deficit and provide the details for that deficit. The agency is required to submit to us the list of the funds they have access to, the appropriated amount out of that fund, the cash balance that's on hand in that fund, and any expenditures for the fund. And that's an explanation of the committee substitute, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, lady.
I move final passage.
Lady moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 121 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Next item, lady.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go to item number 3, House Bill number 1460. Call it up and make the usual motion.
Lady calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, lady.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 1460 brings forward code sections for the Mississippi Municipality Encounter Water Infrastructure Grant Program for possible amendments. We're just using this vehicle, this particular bill, as a vehicle for ARPA later in the session. That's an explanation of the bill. I do have an amendment at the appropriate time. And the clerk.
You have your amendment, lady.
The clerk's office has it. I'll explain it.
You're recognized to explain it.
Thank you. It's just a reverse repealer. That's an explanation.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you're in favor of the adoption of Amendment 1 to House Bill 1460, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, lady?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any. You move final adoption.
I move final adoption, Mr. Speaker.
Lady moves final adoption. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 121 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, lady.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go to item number 4, House Bill 1704. Call it up and make the usual motions.
Lady calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, lady.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the committee substitute for consideration in lieu of the original bill.
Lady's motion is for adoption of the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
The committee sub for House Bill 1704, like the next 3 bills that we're going to take up, are just simply house cleaning bills for section. I'm not going to go through it section by section, but I will just simply tell you what the bill overall is doing. So we're clarifying that the Autism Board is going to receive $26,000 in additional support. We are authorizing the Office of State Aid Road Construction to expend $34 million on the local system bridge program. For Alcorn State University, we're clarifying that from last year's session that they can expend money for renovation, expansion, construction, and furnishing and equipping the David L. Whitney complex. Sections 4 through 6 deal with the LoSAP program. As you remember, that's the Length of Service Award program for our local volunteer firefighters. For those 3 sections, we are just clarifying and reducing the amounts of general funds and increasing the special funds that's going to that program. For Section 7, for the Sharkey Issaquena Hospital and Nursing Home, we're clarifying that expenses spent by that hospital incurred from March the 24th, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 can be covered. Sections 8 through 10 deal with the Charter Authorizing Board. We're just clarifying that the Charter Authorizing Board's appropriations is in addition to the Department of Education, and that $1.4 million is included in the Department of Ed's budget for the Charter Authorizing Board. Section 11, we're just saying that the state treasurer can escalate funds in his budget authority from the Working Cash Stabilization Fund. Sections 12 through 13 just simply say that the Department of Ed can't carry over used funds year to year for the early learning collaboratives and the education procurement cards. And Section 15 has 2 transfers in it, one that I previously referred to for the LoSAP program, and then $5 million from capital expense to the Forestry Facility Grant Program, and it's effective upon passage, and it also has a reverse repealer.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, lady.
I move final passage.
Lady moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 122 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, lady.
House Bill, Mr. Speaker, I go to House Bill number 1705. It's item number 5 on the calendar. Call it up and make the usual motion.
Lady calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, lady.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1705 is simply our end of session transfer bill. As you know, we always have a transfer bill as we move through the process. This is our end of session transfer bill, and it includes a reverse repealer that I would like to offer as an amendment.
You're recognized to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment is simply a reverse repealer so that we'll have a vehicle as we move it through the process. That's an explanation of the amendment.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. I'm sorry. If you favor the lady's amendment number 1 to House Bill 1705, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, lady?
No, Mr. Speaker, I move final passage.
I don't see any questions on the bill. Lady moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 121 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, lady.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to go to item number 6, House Bill 1706. Call it up and make the usual motion.
Lady calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, lady.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 1706 has 12 sections that are transferring programs that we funded with ARPA. Again, this is another housekeeping bill. We are keeping these programs alive. They're still active. If anybody has a question about any particular program that we're bringing forward, I'll be happy to answer that. I will just bring your attention to Section 9. We're bringing forward the ARPA Rural Water Association Infrastructure Grant Program, and we're making these amendments to that program that if you consolidate it in the past, you can get 10 extra points. If you agree to merge in the future, you can get 10 extra points, but no application can get more than 10 points for any past or future consolidation. And then in Section 12, we do this every year. We are directing the state fiscal officer to transfer $1 from the Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Fund to the Coronavirus Fiscal Recovery Loss Revenue Fund on the date of this act. And that's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker. It's going to be effective upon passage. I do have an amendment at the appropriate time.
You're recognized to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a reverse repealer.
Questions on the amendment? I believe the gentleman from Lawrence has questions on the bill. All right, question occurs on adoption of amendment number 1. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, lady?
No, Mr. Speaker, I move final passage.
All right, I believe the gentleman from Lawrence has a question on the bill if you yield for questioning.
I do, yes.
Gentleman from Lawrence, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lady yield.
Yes.
Lady, these are ARPA funds. Could you tell me how many programs we've had funded with ARPA funds since they became available to us?
Just 1 second, I'm getting that information for you.
In the meantime, could you tell me what ARPA stands for?
Gentlemen, I think we know it. It's American Rescue Plan Act.
Yes, ma'am, we do know that. Thank you. Can you tell me are these state funds or federal funds?
They're federal.
They're federal funds, obviously from the federal Congress signed into law by President Biden, right?
Yes.
Okay. And indeed, that is the bill, the ARPA bill that went through Congress, that we are spending the money that results from it, but no Republican in the federal Congress voted for ARPA, did they? Not one Republican in either the House or the Senate in Washington. Were you aware of that?
Gentlemen, this bill does not have anything to do with that. If you have a question on the bill, I will answer your question on the bill.
The bill is, do you know where the money came from? That is, in fact, a query.
I have answered your question. If you have a question on the bill, I'm not going to get political with you. If you have a question on the bill, I will be more than happy to answer your question.
I believe ARPA is the name of the bill, and I'm asking a question about ARPA.
Asked and answered.
If you're ashamed of it, I understand,
I'm not ashamed
but nevertheless.
of it, gentlemen. I'm not going to argue with you. And I don't have to yield to this line of questioning. If you have a question on the bill, I'll be more than happy to answer.
I will ask the same question. Would you tell me, did you know that this is a federal bill that no Republican voted for in Congress? That's a question, lady.
Mr. Speaker, I no longer yield to the gentleman.
Thank you for your courtesy, lady.
You're welcome.
Lady, do you yield for further questions?
I do.
Gentleman from LaFleur, Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Speaker, I just have an introduction out of order. Not a question.
You're recognized, gentlemen.
In the North Gallery, I see Dr. Montrell Green, and would you make? He's the former superintendent of LaFleur County Schools. Would you make him welcome?
All right, lady. I don't see any further questions on the bill. You move final passage?
I move final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Lady moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 122 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, lady.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go to item number 7, House Bill 1707, call it up and make the usual motion.
Lady calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, lady.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, House Bill 1707 has a committee substitute. I move adoption of the committee substitute for consideration in lieu of the original bill.
Lady moves adoption of the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Lady, you're recognized to explain the committee sub.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, the committee substitute, for House Bill 1707 is again cleanup, technical language. As you know, usually we'll have a projects bill at the end of the year. The first section encompasses all those projects that have technical cleanup language, and that is in Section 1. Section 2 of the bill is repurposing funds that we passed for Jackson State last year to allow Jackson State University to either renovate or build a new dorm with funds provided. And the amount of those funds is $8,013,000. Sections 3, 4, 5, and 6 are amending creation bills. For instance, it would be the Local Improvement Projects Fund, the DeSoto County Infrastructure Improvements Fund, the Lafayette County Infrastructure Improvement Fund, and the Gulfport Commerce Corridor Fund. And then in Section 7, we're amending the procurement statutes just to make sure. We're already doing this, but we just want it in statute. We're removing references to the American Recovery and Reimbursement Act. As you remember, those funds were distributed in 2008 and 2009. This is not ARPA. We're clarifying that agencies publish public notices in accordance with Section 2553-151 on the Mississippi Procurement Portal. These notices are going to be sent to women-owned and minority-owned businesses through the state's e-procurement system or by direct solicitation. The governing authorities have to ensure that the notices are sent to minority or women-owned businesses by using the Mississippi Procurement Technical Assistance Program through MDA or by direct solicitation. It also clarifies that agencies or governing authorities using federal funds to purchase goods or services must additionally comply with the federal procurement guidelines in 2 CFR Part 200. In other words, if we're going to be using federal funds, we have to abide by the federal guidance and the federal laws. And that's an explanation of the committee substitute, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the committee sub? I don't see any, lady.
I move final passage, Mr.
Lady
Speaker.
moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. 122 yeas, 0 nays. The bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
Ask for immediate release.
Chairman asks for immediate release. Is there objection? Hearing none, we will follow that procedure, gentlemen. Thank you.
Appropriations yields the floor.
All right, we will move to the general calendar. Public health passes. Transportation. Gentleman from Benton, the chairman of transportation, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Go to item number 2, House Bill 702. Call it up and make a usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered, engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, we have a committee sub move that it is adopted in lieu of the original bill.
Gentleman moves that we adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
You recognize the gentleman from Leak to handle the bill?
Gentleman from Leak is recognized to handle the bill, which I believe to be his first venture there.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 702 says, Mississippi Department of Transportation, public political subdivisions of the state or municipalities of the state may form a public-private partnership for highways, road, bridges, or other assessments in which the Department of Transportation, public subdivision, political subdivision, or municipalities may negotiate for private funding for assistance for highway, roads, bridges, or any other assessment in exchange for naming rights. In simple terms, highways, roads, bridges, and assessments are funded by the state. To give the state a little relief, I'm asking this body to help me pass this bill so that some of these big corporations, businesses, and anyone else that can form a partnership, whether it's public or private, with the Department of Transportation, local cities, and local counties, and any other thing that they will receive, and anything that they will receive is, in return is the naming rights.
That concludes your explanation, gentlemen?
That concludes my explanation.
I believe y'all have an amendment as well. Do you want to add your amendment now? I believe the chairman passed one to the clerk.
Yes, sir.
I recognize the chairman to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the amendment is simply that the commission shall not partner with anyone who would have anything that is illegal to children under 18 and under. And also that all the funds will go to repair the visitor centers or the welcome centers or the rest areas. And that is simply the amendment. Any questions on the amendment?
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you favor the adoption of amendment number 1 to House Bill 702, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. All right. Gentleman's concluded his explanation, which seemed to stir up quite a bit of controversy. So we will go to the gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman Yield.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, what's the short title of this bill?
What's the what? Repeat that.
What's the short title of this bill?
The transportation funding authorized public-private partnership to include naming rights.
Say again?
Man, that is on the board.
So gentlemen, can we have driveways and coverage and all those stuff covered under this bill?
No, I'm not going to jail. If you want to, you can.
So let me ask you this question, gentlemen. According to line 37, what does that say?
It doesn't say anything.
I was trying to trick you in, gentlemen. Good move.
Gentleman from Pike, Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, I was going through the bill. I want to know where'd you get that bow tie?
My personal decorator.
Your personal decorator.
Designer.
All right. Is there any money in this bill to get the rest of us one of those bow ties?
No, sir.
I think that's a good thing, gentlemen. Thanks.
Gentleman from DeSoto, Mr. Eubanks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will gentlemen yield?
Yes, sir.
Is there any prohibition in here for, say, like TikTok or Temu entering into a private-public partnership with us to sponsor a bridge?
Are you asking, can they?
Yeah, any prohibition? I think they're Chinese-owned.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Gentleman from Marshall, Mr. Faulkner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, yield.
Yes, sir.
Looking back at the short title, what is a public-private partnership?
It's what it says, public-private partnership. It's
So,
self-explanatory.
What does it mean?
I mean, public and private. It's got its own meaning, public and private.
Let me ask you this, gentlemen. It took you about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to explain the bill. Do you think it would take that long for the bill to go through the process?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Good bill, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, I don't see any further questions on the bill. You move final passage?
Yes, sir.
Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Chairman Judd B.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd call up item number 3, House Bill 903, advance the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, there's a committee sub. The motion is to adopt the committee sub.
Gentleman's motion is to adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
Mr. Speaker, the motion now is to table the committee sub at this time. I got a strike call coming. Back on the bill. Strike call.
Does anyone wish to speak to the gentleman's motion? I don't see anyone seeking recognition. His motion is to table the committee sub. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're back on the original bill now, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a strike all amendment at this time and recognize the gentleman from Pearl River to explain the strike call.
How about Harrison?
Harrison, I'm sorry.
Better.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We move for adoption of the amendment.
Gentleman moves to adopt the strike all in lieu of the original bill.
In lieu of the original bill. Then the explanation. I was going to explain it.
You want to explain the strike all?
Yeah. I'm going to explain the strike all for you, and it's very simple. The language that dealt with machine guns was too broad, a little bit ambiguous. We worked with the NRA, we tightened that up, got it to the satisfaction of everyone, and that's how we landed where we are, and that's the explanation of the amendment. Strike all.
Okay, gentlemen, I see another amendment sheet. Do you have an amendment to your strike all?
Not yet. Not to the strike all, to the general bill. I think there's going to be an amendment. Unbelievable. I'm through with my explanation of the first.
Okay, so.
All right, any further explanation on Amendment 1 to the strike-all before you explain the strike-all?
No, sir, that was it.
All right. All right, they're telling me we're correct on the board. Question recurs on adoption of strike-all Amendment 1. If you favor that,
hold on.
that needs to just say Amendment 1 to the strike-all.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Here we go.
Draw attention to yourself. Huh?
Yeah.
And adopted strike off the amendment to the strike off, which is your amendment right there.
Right.
And then Manning's going to have amendment 2 to the strike off.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, you're recognized to explain Amendment 1 to the strike-all.
Amendment 1 to the strike-all simply clarifies and tightens the language of what an actual machine gun is. That completes my explanation of the amendment.
All right, several folks had already sought recognition, so I'm trying to wade through that. That was before we got to all this. I believe the gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell, do you have a question on the Amendment 1 to the strike-all?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I do. I don't know what the amendment says. We are all trying to figure out what the amendment is.
Okay.
Well, we have two different things going on. You have an amendment to a strike-all. Once he amends it, he's going to explain the bill in its entirety as a strike-all, as amended here with this amendment, is my understanding.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Further questions on this amendment? Before we do that, the gentleman from Benton is seeking recognition in the back, and it's a very important recognition. So I'm going to recognize him at this time. Gentleman from Benton, you're recognized.
Introduction out of order, Mr.
You're
Speaker.
recognized, gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, y'all help me make welcome Senator Jolly, former Senator Jolly, and our very own Preston Sullivan's back in the building.
Good to have you gentlemen here, especially that one on the right back there. Good to have him here. All right, thank you for that, gentlemen. All right, question recurs on the adoption of Amendment 1 to strike all Amendment 1. If you favor that amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. We are now on the strike all. You're recognized to explain the strike all, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, before I do that, I do have a gentleman from Jackson wants to offer a second amendment.
You're recognized, gentleman from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On January the 4th of this year, George County lost one of their deputies to a pistol that had been modified with one of these conversion devices. And my amendment simply names House Bill 903 after George County Deputy Jeremy Malone, killed in the line of duty, January the 4th, 2024. That's an explanation of the amendment.
All right. We'll have a moment of silence before we vote by voice vote on the gentleman's amendment. If you favor the gentleman from Jackson's amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, gentlemen, you're recognized to explain the strike all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And ladies and gentlemen of the House, I apologize for the procedure there. So basically, this Bill 903 comes to us at the request of law enforcement and our prosecutors, as there is a proliferation of Glock switches and auto sears, which are turning regular pistols into machine guns that can fire up to 30 rounds in 2.6 seconds. Currently, it is only a federal offense to possess a modified weapon without an appropriate license or stamp. So criminals in possession of these modified firearms can currently not be arrested or charged at a state and local level. The firearm can be seized, but they can't arrest them. What House Bill 903 does is mirrors the federal law. This law provides for 10 years, $3,000 on the first offense for the possession, the manufacturing, or the use of one of these weapons. For the second and subsequent offenses, it is 15 years, $5,000 per offense. The law enforcement and prosecutors need this tool. They are crying out for it to help them get these folks off the street who are intending to do much harm with these weapons. As Representative Barton said, we did lose Deputy Malone in January, but there's also innocent citizens. A fellow by the name of Anthony Davis was killed on North State Street. I believe he was just in his car trying to move along, and there was a shootout, and he was killed as well. So it's not only law enforcement, it is our citizens too. I do want to say this bill passed the Senate Judiciary B Committee today unanimously, and not only did it pass unanimously, they increased the penalties in the bill. So on that, Mr. Speaker, that concludes an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill?
Move for final passage.
Gentlemen, do you yield for questions?
Oh, always. Yes,
Gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I would like to say that I absolutely am going to support this bill, and I think it is very necessary. However, I do have a couple of questions just so that I can be 100% clear. Is the possession of the device itself, absent also being in possession of a weapon, will that be a felony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And these devices, I've heard of them, but I've never seen one. I'm not sure if these are devices that are manufactured specifically for the purpose of being a switch, or are these other everyday things that are being used not for their intended purpose, but for the purpose of turning these weapons into automatic weapons?
Sure. There are specific schematics to direct you how to make these, and they're made with 3D printers. They're made in China. They're made in Mexico. The street value of these are about $100 to $200 a piece around here. Jackson Police Department is seizing about 20 a month. And so to answer your question, if you have one of these, it's for that specific purpose.
Okay, and so this wouldn't criminalize some other product that has an everyday, ordinary, legal use. However, there are some people, bad actors, who are taking that device and using it for illegal purposes. This would only apply to switches that are manufactured for the specific purpose of turning a weapon into an automatic weapon.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much. I will support your bill for sure.
Don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Move for final passage, please.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Is everyone voted? Is everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 112 yeas, 7 nays, the bill passes. Anything further from Judd B?
Nothing else.
Judd B yields the floor. All right, I believe the gentleman from Simpson had an item he wants to request to go to before we conclude our business for the day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 23 on today's calendar and call it up.
Gentleman goes to item number 23, House Concurrent Resolution 23. and calls that bill up. He calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. I would like to ask that this bill be recommitted to committee for further work.
Gentleman's motion is to recommit. Does anyone wish to speak to the gentleman's motion? All right, I don't see anyone seeking recognition. If you favor the gentleman's motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, I think that concludes our business for today. I know there are several committee meetings scheduled. Announcements by the clerk's office.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Medicaid will meet after adjournment today in room 113. Appropriations C will meet after adjournment in 201A. County Affairs will not meet. State Affairs will meet 5 minutes after adjournment in room 402. Forestry will meet 10 minutes after adjournment in room 103. Judd B will not meet. Ways and Means will meet at 3 o'clock in room 201H. For tomorrow, Military Affairs will have a joint meeting with the Senate Committee at 8:30 in 201H, followed by a 9 o'clock committee meeting in room 103. Investigate State Offices will have a joint meeting with the Senate Committee at 9 o'clock in room 202. Housing will meet at 10 in room 103. Universities and colleges will meet at 10 in room 204. Transportation will meet at 11 in room 204. Corrections will meet at 11 in 401A. Energy will meet at 1 in room 103. Marine Resources will meet at 1 in room 114. Education will meet at 1 o'clock in room 204. Interstate Cooperation will meet at 3 o'clock in room 103. After adjournment tomorrow, Ports and Harbors will meet in room 103. Constitution will meet after adjournment tomorrow in room 114. Business and Commerce will meet 10 minutes after adjournment tomorrow in room 114. And Banking will meet 30 minutes after adjournment tomorrow in room 402.
Announcements by the members. Gentleman from Rankin, Mr. Yancey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow, members are invited to BIPEC's 44th Annual Luncheon. It's at the Old Capitol Inn from 11:30 to 1. It's a come-and-go lunch, not a plated lunch, so please stop by for the reception and visit with Mississippi business leaders. Tomorrow from 11:30 to 1, BIPEC.
Gentleman from Noxubee, Mr. Mickens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like unanimous consent to change my vote on House Bill 504 to yea from present.
Is there objection? Change the gentleman's vote. Lady from Forest, Ms. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Correction for Medicaid Committee, we are meeting at 3:30 in 113, not 3 o'clock. Thank you, 3:30.
Thank you, lady. Gentleman from Tate, Mr. Lamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ways and Means announced at 3. Committee Council for Ways and Means the same at Forestry. Forestry is going to be about 5 or 10 minutes, so Ways and Means will actually meet around 3:10. I understand there is another important meeting at 3:30, so at least come and check in. We may take a break if we need to get everybody where they need to be today. Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of our colleagues here, I want to wish our roommate, Mr. Tracy Rosebud, a happy birthday, and we all pitched in and bought him a great gift for Mr. Tracy Rosebud. Give it up to him.
Happy birthday, gentlemen. Gentleman from Walthall, Mr. Pygott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to remind the House of the legislative reception hosted by Mississippi Farm Bureau and Mississippi State University at the Trademark at 5 o'clock.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman from Tunica, Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Interstate Corporation will not meet.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, any further announcement from any member? I don't see any. I recognize the gentleman from Rankin for the motion.
I move that the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Gentleman's motion is the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The House will stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.